Look into a scenario in which ASEAN Unites, a union of Southeast Asian nations such as Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Indonesia, Philippines, and more or less day. Their biggest trading partner is China, so I doubt they would be able to attack China because that's their biggest trading partner. They also have a lot of trade with India, which kind of means they trade a lot with them, along with South Korea and Japan. But they invade Bangladesh, because why not? And they somehow have the force to take out a country of 160 million people. That's a lot of people. And it's not that much land for that much people, but yeah. After invading for a few hours into, I think, Dhaka, they take the city. After months of fighting, or even years, who knows how long it took, they managed to successfully take over Bangladesh. India doesn't like this because it impedes on their territory. And as we know, when their territory is impeded on, India starts trying to get some lands from that were just recently annexed. Mainly being up in the north, which India's trying to buy for its territory. With the agreement not being as much land gave over, only a fraction of it being gave over to India, as they wouldn't give that much land over because that's way too much. With interested in a piece of China's land, but they wouldn't invade because that would be pointless. They're their largest trading partner. Probably largest supporter at this point, considering they did invade a country. But anyways, they're eyeing Yunnan. Which, keep in mind, these are just bad borders. With them asking China if they can buy it. China says you can't buy all of it, but we're willing to negotiate over the border of this. What ends up for a few $1 billion, they can buy that much of it. They can't buy the whole thing, because China isn't willing to sell the whole thing, as they want to still have access to the rivers upstream, like the Mekong, which means they wouldn't sell much. Hey, where's it even go? I don't even think they would sell that much. The river goes like this. No, it wouldn't be that much. I would say they probably wouldn't sell that much. I'd say the border might even be around there that they're willing to sell. Which becomes less they're willing to sell than what I thought they would sell. I realize there's a lot of dams in some of the areas that they would be interested in. China probably doesn't give much, as it's mostly China's electricity. A lot of it is being made here, so I guess maybe there would be some kind of agreement over that. Now, I'm not getting as much land as they were hoping over these negotiations. They did get some. With them deciding to invade Papua New Guinea, which may have been a mistake. Some Pacific islands, like Fiji, is like, yeah, we're joining because they have nothing better to do. Australia is like, you can't invade them as they join the war. Australia, a strong nation, they're probably a lot of trouble having brought Australia into a war, but they don't give up. With India supporting Australia along with Japan, South Korea, and the US. And also keep in mind, it also got rid of alliances, so like, yeah. Well, major alliances, basically. Without landing in Queensland, Australia. Another landing over here because there's nothing better to do. And as you can tell, they're having some success in Australia, but not much. That's as far as they could get in a few months of fighting. With Australia managing to launch a successful counter-offensive separating the two lands they have occupied by the invader, but the invader lands over here and moves towards taking Perth. Which they managed to do, and this is a big loss for Australia. with the offensive now to take this coast, with Australia being drastically weakened except by the weapons that are being sent in is allowing it to hold. Any hope of winning this war at this point is not very good, as they're failing to take back parts of their coastline. So eventually at this point they agree to a peace treaty. A bit of a harsh peace treaty though. Condemn them, including Japan, South Korea, India. A few nations support them, such as China and Pakistan, as we all know would happen. But anyways, would expect a harsh response. But instead, all India does is form a treaty with South Korea and Japan. And eventually Australia joins, and Taiwan. But New Zealand says, nah, we don't want to join. As they have good relations, they decide to form with the Union. Because they've seen what happened to Australia. With India deciding to go ahead and occupy the lands here, which causes this union to declare war on India. Why would they declare war on India for this? Well, not really. India really started the war, technically. So India is the aggressor, although they are marked in blue because, well, yeah. India taking over a big chunk of their land. That India struggles to make any great advances. Victory is a struggle. But ASEAN gets to supporting nations, with it basically being support from both sides. And then, yeah, still not getting support of its pact yet, because it hasn't been attacked yet, technically. With Kashmir falling, as India's forces are not there at this point. ASEAN gets forces sent in, and basically this India is now, since it's a democracy, is going to have to take time to make more decisions, basically. And while India is mobilizing upwards of hundreds of thousands of men, so are these nations. With India's capital falling before they could get the troops ready. Well, that's being a big deal. As North Korea and China decides to take out the rest of the alliance. With Australia not joining because they're seeing what will happen. They were anti their expansion, but they don't see this as expansion. And they decide to leave the alliance because they're told if they don't leave, they will be invaded by ASEAN. And Australia knows the difference. We're going to try and take its north back at this point whenever I'm supporting the opposite side. But anyways, when that happens, and basically movement into India's populated areas begins. Seeming like India is going down hard, but India doesn't actually. India makes a major counter-offensive before establishing, they even take back their capital, and they establish a major stalemate. Nobody's able to advance. Japan also has a, that's not possible, because basically at this point, the only option is treaties, with a peace treaty being signed, which Everai doesn't get too much land taken, except Taiwan and South Korea. Unfortunately, they don't get treated well. Anyways, let's see the lands. North Korea, with the Korean Peninsula and Taiwan being annexed by China, and Pakistan just becomes unrecognizable. And then we have, well, Japan. And as we can see, ASEAN has very much expanded. Would they be able to hold on to this land? Probably not. And is it realistically be expansionist? Probably not. Because, 2023, expansion is not a good idea. But anyways, let's just continue this video. And that's pretty much all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Wild Mapper out. But not until you subscribe. Bye, guys!